Councilor Salik.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to all my colleagues for sharing those words. And I guess it's been a long process to get to this point, but and thank you, of course, to the committee and the advisory committees for their input on this. This is, for me, a challenging conversation, as it is for many people who look like me. When I think of a lot of the young Londoners out there who look like me, and sometimes they have these interactions, they begin to feel criminalized. So I just want to say one thing to them. As you know, I'm relatively young. I'm young, and I'm black, and I will never apologize for that. So I don't want any young black person or any person who looks differently in our community to ever feel like, because of the way they look or the faith they believe in, that they should feel as if they are doing something wrong. Councilor Cassidy talked about, a 16-year-old boy being stopped. Colleagues, I was that 16-year-old boy who was stopped for no reason. I was that 14-year-old boy who was stopped for no reason. I was that 20-year-old man who was stopped for no reason. I was that 25-year-old man who was stopped for no reason. Since my adult life, I could tell you, I've been stopped 15 times for no reason. Across the province, from different municipalities, different provincial polices, and given no reason. My colleague spoke about humiliation. It is deeply humiliating to be out and about in a community, let's call it a well-to-do neighborhood, and happen to just be walking by, and it's a very busy event, and there's countless people around there, and you're the one who kind of sticks out, and the police cruiser pulls up, lights and sirens, and yells 100 meters or so from where you are and says, "Hey, you, stop." And then they rush towards you, and you turn around and say, "Well, what happened? What did I do?" And then they ask you to produce this information. And then they ask you for all your information in front of everyone, and everyone's watching you. And everyone's looking at you, already making that determination that you are guilty for something because the police are here today and they're stopping you. And I absolutely did nothing. So I went through the interaction. I knew my rights. I knew I could have walked away. But guess what? It's not that easy. So when police officers get up and say, well, there's young people and they know their rights. I know an 8-year-old that knows their rights. Well, guess what? I'm a grown man. And I know that if I just walk away, it could turn out to not be the way that I want it to be. And that's a real reality for many people. I have a privilege now because I'm a city councilor. I have a privilege that a lot of people who look like me, who are young and black, don't have. Now when I'm out and about in the community, maybe it's not so easy for someone to stop me or have those interactions. But those are the real realities for people in our community every single day. And I know it's easy to hide behind policies and say, this is what we can make our community safe. Believe me, I want my community safe too. I want my children that I hope to have soon and one day and grow up in London to feel like they can walk about in our community. But I already know that I'm going to have to look to my children and have a conversation that's going to be hard. Because I already had a conversation with my brother the first time me and my young brother were pulled over for absolutely no reason. And as we're being pulled over, he said to me, "We're not speeding. Why are they stopping us?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I know why." To hear that from someone who's only a boy is devastating and hurtful and something that many, if not most, people who look like me have to deal with. So for people to stand behind policy and people to tell me anecdotal stories that this is going to keep us safe is just an insult to me and to everyone else's experiences. But today I am so proud of this council. Sometimes as an elected official, I wonder, what would I do in the era of segregation and rules and policies and governments that impose these policies that were really straight out racist? And then I wondered what my colleagues would do. And looking around this horseshoe and the strong comments here and the bravery that my colleagues have shown, I know we would be one of those councils and one of those people, one of the people in our community that would fight for those people to ensure they have equal rights. This is very different to me and surreal in ways because I'm voting on something here before me that actually impacts me. That impacts how, if I walk out of these doors of City Hall and throw on my hoodie, will I be stopped? So for me to be doing something like this is just unbelievable. I did want to read a quote from a progressive conservative MLA in Calgary West. This is what he said. He's a Caucasian white male. Police are targeting people based on their socioeconomic background. Ellis said during the radio interview, racial profiling occurs out of this, a form of psychological detention, because they do not feel that they can just walk away, even though it is their right. Now, many people have said this, but the reason I wanted to quote this MLA is because before he was an MLA, he was a distinguished Calgary police officer. So, to my colleagues and to my friends, I thank you. And I implore, and I hope the Police Service Board does more, and I hope they step up and remember that this is people's lives. These are people who feel as if the police are not working as allies. It is easy for anyone to sit back and criticize the police, but that's not what my approach has been. My approach has been to say, this is a problem. Let me help you fix it. And that's why I said, and I worked with the police in the working group to try to make sure that we can come together as a community. It's not a matter of just wagging my finger. It's a matter of finding solutions. So I really hope that moving forward, the Police Service Board will stand for what is right and remember that 20 years or 30 years from today, they will remember, and I'm sure they will regret the day that they continued to impose this on Londoners. But I know that my colleagues around here, based on what they said, when they look back, when Mo's, 40 and the mayor's 60, they'll remember this very moment and know they did what was right, as those before us who had to do what was right, who gave women their right to vote, who gave members of our LGBT community their right to marry who they choose to. And this is just another part in a chapter of equality. So thank you very much.
Well, Councillor, I want you to know that I think that is going to be remembered as one of the most memorable, emotional, and important debates that any of us participated in. And I want you to know that we are also proud of your leadership on this. And I want you to know personally that I thank you for your advocacy, and I thank you for pushing and pushing and pushing. Thank you so much. I can't imagine how this must feel for you, and I think that you have the last word on this tonight.